Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
The case is over. So why is it starting to change?
What appeared to be more of a slam dunk case, a legal case against the defendant in quite some time. DNA, cell phone records, car, potential eyewitness.
No new evidence emerged, but a new market opened. There was a plea, there was a courtroom, and there was a moment. On July 2nd, 2025, Bryan Kohberger pleaded guilty.
You did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin.
Yes.
4 people are still dead.
4 Idaho college students were brutally stabbed to death.
And after nearly a year, a book appeared, written by a former FBI agent, published in 2026.
It's called Broken Plea, the explosive search for truth behind the Idaho murders, and it is raising a lot of questions.
It argues that evidence was never properly tested, that chain of custody documentation on the
knife sheath was found alongside Maddie Mogan's body.
The most critical piece of physical evidence in the case,
the DNA matches criminology student Bryan Kohberger,
was completed retroactively by a single person without the required dual signatures.
The Moscow police chief has totally said none of that is true.
That might be true. Maybe it matters. But notice what happened next. That detail, one procedural claim, from one book written by someone who was not in the courtroom, moved through Reddit threads, into YouTube videos, into comment sections, and became, for a significant portion of people, the thing they now believe happened. Not a question, a conclusion. The knife sheath was planted. The DNA was compromised. The plea wasn't justice. It was surrender. There's another book releasing at the same time, 577 pages, written for law enforcement, prosecutors, and legal analysts. One not available in Barnes & Noble. One that's not moving through Reddit. You probably haven't even seen it in your feed. Think about why. And here's what nobody is saying about Broken Plea. The author's primary source, the voice inside that book, was Brent Turvey, a forensic consultant hired by Kohberger's own defense team, a man who signed a confidentiality agreement and then became a published source anyway. The defense called it appalling, used that word specifically. They were appalled. So the alternative narrative, now reshaping public understanding of a closed case, is built, at least partly, on testimony from someone his own client's team say violated their trust to get there. That detail moved through the same threads much more quietly. You probably already know which detail you remembered. Watch what people actually did with this. Someone read a Reddit thread summarizing the book, not the book, the thread, and shared it with the caption, "This changes everything." Someone cited an anonymous post as though it outranked a forensic laboratory report. Message board speculation got treated like fieldwork, like the people who stayed until 3 a.m. cross-referencing exhibit numbers had access to something that prosecution didn't.
A chain of custody issue, this is the first that we've heard about it, Jesse.
That's a great point, because if this were the case, why would he have taken a deal and pled guilty?
Doing your own research, it stopped being a method. It became a personality. And personalities, they need feeding. So when the book dropped, people didn't read it critically. They consumed it directionally. They moved through it looking for the parts that confirmed the shape they'd already built. The chain of custody issue? It landed hard. The hair found in a victim's hand that didn't match Kohberger? That spread fast. The parts that complicated the alternative narrative? They moved slower, got less engagement, stayed in smaller threads. That's not research. It's curation. And it feels the exact same from the inside. Mindhunter understood this without ever saying it.
It's not easy butchering people. It's hard work. Physically and mentally, I don't think people realize.
You know, there's a lot more like me.
Men sitting across from killers.
Do you think so?
Walking away from certain things they already believed. The methodology confirming the assumption. The data fitting the framework that produced the data. The show never told you that was the problem. It didn't need to.
How do we get ahead of crazy if we don't know how crazy thinks?
Think about what an expert actually does when a case reopens. They don't change minds. A decided mind doesn't receive new information, it processes it, filters it, emerges on the other side holding the same conclusion with slightly better vocabulary. You felt this. Someone challenges what you believe, and you walk away like you've won, without engaging in a single thing that they've said. The challenge becomes the evidence. Why would they push back this hard if there wasn't something there? Certainty doesn't feel like certainty. It feels like clarity. Like finally seeing correctly. And the expert who reflects that back, the credentialed voice that arrives after you've already decided, doesn't inform you. You didn't change your mind. You just found a voice that sounded like you had.
So young to be ruining people's lives.
Come back to the case. The night of November 13th, 2022 is still the same night.
The lust for control, the feeling of arousal, the decision to humiliate her corpse.
The house is still the same house.
I mean, imagine what it takes to bludgeon someone to death.
Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana were truly the nicest people.
4 people are still dead in exactly the same way they were dead before the plea, before the book, before the chain of custody question became a Reddit thread, became a worldview.
You want truffles? You gotta get in the dirt with the pigs.
No, we don't. We are the FBI.
None of that moved. What moved was what people needed the story to be.
My mom said, "It's over." And I said, "No, Mom, it's just the beginning."
A case this visible, this discussed, this thoroughly made into content and community and identity, it doesn't end cleanly. It can't. Because for a lot of people, it stopped being about 4 dead students a very long time ago. It became about being the person who knew, who caught something, who saw through the official version.
How could you possibly get that from an ordinary police report?
And when the official version closed, that identity needed somewhere to go. So it went somewhere.
Moscow police put out very little information.
Rumors and speculation just started to fill the silence.
Even the people who built the alternative narrative are fighting over who owns it now. The defense team appalled at their own expert. The expert published. The community already splitting into factions about which version of the alternative is the real one. The case is over. The argument about the case has its own ecosystem now, and that ecosystem has no incentive to end. Here's the part that should bother you. You came into this video having already decided something. Maybe you think the plea was just. Maybe you think the sheath detail matters. Maybe you think Turvey is a whistleblower or a grifter. And you knew which one before I finished that sentence. You selected this video because something matched the shape of what you already believed. You've been doing it the entire time. The case didn't change. You did. Quietly, across 2 years of threads and videos and comment sections, you built a version of the story that felt like truth because it felt like yours. And then you found someone to confirm it. The question isn't whether the experts are right. It's why you even needed one in the first place.